So if you have been sleeping under a rock and you don't have the full context of, you will discover, of course, that conservative activist Charlie Kirk was fatally shot last week when speaking at Utah Valley University. There was a manhunt for his alleged killer, and that manhunt was successful. They found a guy named Tyler Robinson. He's alleged to have fired from a rooftop and arrested after a 33-hour manhunt. It's obviously a high-profile act of political violence. I think made even more high-profile by the fact that it's a character like, or a person like Charlie Kirk. But also, I think the sheer nature of the act of violence and the social media effects of it as well. I mean, I don't know how you discovered it, Holly, but someone literally sent it to me in a message with zero warning about what I was going to watch. And I was like, and I clicked through, and I'm a very squeamish person, and I like shrieked because the video was just so shocking. It's not the kind of thing you're used to like seeing when you click on a Twitter link. And so I think a combination of all these factors, the nature of the attack, the visual components that came out of it, the speed with which it sped, and then who this person is, and the influence that he carries, I think just meant that this act of violence captured a lot of attention. I don't know how it played out on your side of the ocean, but it certainly
I
has
found
been.
out in a very similar way, actually. A
Yeah,
member of my family just sent me a text message, and they had seen him on social media. And I think because he was such a public figure with exposure all over the world, there's that element almost for some people that they felt they knew him
right.
because they'd had so much exposure to him. So on a human level, just incredibly sad for his family. But what it means for the security of public figures and politicians and access to public figures and politicians moving forward, it's probably going to cause some changes, I guess.
Yeah, well, you and I were talking before we turned on the microphones earlier about whether I had any interest in ever seeking public office. And I gave you my 100 reasons why I had no interest anymore. But the one that we didn't talk about was the fact that political figures now are just exposed to so much more personal risk. And so it's a pretty scary proposition to think that when you are speaking your mind and doing it in a way that Charlie Kirk was, yes, did he at times say inflammatory things, but his approach to politics was to engage people in dialogue. It was not violence. To lose your life just because you are trying to engage people in the civic process is incredibly scary. I think that's also why this has captured so much attention. But it concerns me because we often hear about the challenges that we have, at least on the Canadian side. But I get the sense this is true in a lot of places, recruiting good people, talented people, skilled people to serve in elected office. I know you fit that bill. Andrew, of course, is a result of when you fail to find talented people in these roles. But no wonder, when you see this type of behavior, you see these kinds of activities, it makes it very difficult to convince your family that you ought to be getting in this line of work.
Yeah, of course it does. And I think, maybe this is not for today, but, Andrew and I can tell you the stories of the various death threats that we've had and the security that was in our homes and the panic buttons and the special alarms and sometimes the personal security we had to take with us to events. And I barely knew a politician in any party, it made no difference whatsoever, who wasn't receiving those kind of threats and who wasn't, very, very aware of that danger. And of course, we lost Sir David Amess, who was a British MP when I was in Parliament, and Joe Cox a few years earlier. Andrew was there for that. And it is increasingly something that I think people will think about when they think about going into public office or becoming a public figure. And that can do nothing but harm our democracies and everything that goes with that.
That's such a good point. We default to, at least maybe I'll speak for Canadians, we default to just a little bit of finger pointing going, this is happening in America because America has such a violent political history. America's got its love affair with guns. But the truth of the matter is this problem is not unique to the United States. It is it is a permanent threat to elected officials in the UK. It's a permanent threat that people here, elected officials in Canada, face as well. No one is immune to this type of violence. I'm trying to finish on a too sour note on this, but it's difficult not to when we're talking about a topic like this. But I'm increasingly worried that this type of behavior is not going to, we're far from seeing the worst of this.